big welcome back. I'm back on the podcast after a 2-week break. Been off enjoying myself in the Spanish sun on the golf course. We've got some really good guests lined up over the next coming weeks, and hopefully you'll really enjoy the episodes that we've got coming up. But I've got a bit of an important message today. One of our new sponsors, so Epic Hope, who are a suicide prevention and intervention charity based in Wigan. They've come forward and sponsored 5 podcasts. So very thankful to them for their support and showing our support to them as well. Epic Hope, they're a suicide prevention and intervention charity, like I said, and they work with Wigan Warriors currently, and they serve the whole of the Wigan borough and surrounding areas by helping to reduce suicide and those experiencing mental health difficulties. Epic Hope, they host Hope Harbours at Robin Park Arena, which is a place that you can go to and speak to someone face to face, be out of your own home and speak to someone trained to listen. Here you can access one-to-one or group support in a non-judgmental, safe space with compassion and care, and the empathetic, trained volunteers provide emotional support to anyone in a time of crisis who are experiencing distress or despair and suicidal thoughts. The Harbours at Wigan Warriors run Mondays 5pm till 8pm and Thursdays 5pm till 8pm also. For more info, you can access their website at www.epichope.org.uk, and all the usual social media outlets will be shared on the Names from the Game podcast social pages too. Epic Hope have sponsored 5 podcasts, so I'm hoping in the next week or two we can get Ellie on, who's the founder of the charity, who can give a bit more information on the work the charity are doing than I can, and provide you a bit more information on it. But a big thank you to Epic Hope. They're doing some brilliant things in the local area and surrounding areas, and we wish them all the very, very best moving forward, especially with their new partnership with Wigan Warriors. They're doing some brilliant things, so well done to you guys, and good luck with it. Thanks very much. Alright, Budge, last time I seen you, I think I chucked up on someone. That's the last time.
It was Greg Burke, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's the last time I've seen you.
Honestly, one of the funniest things I've ever seen. That he still
Does
messages me about it all the time.
Does he?
It was great, that.
I felt terrible about that. What was it called? Me scruffy cunt?
Yeah, scruffy cunt. He was getting everybody to smell his armour in the pub. That stink me off. I
must have had about 10 pints of Guinness. And you know when you get that and you go...
And
as I turned, he was there. Oh, well, fucking hell.
Oh, my mouth was watering.
Oh, mate. It was terrible. I'm lucky I didn't get a smack there, really. But, yeah. So, how's the season going? Back in
Yeah, we're
now?
back in now. We're a lot better than where we were last year.
Yeah.
I think we're on 6 wins. 6 wins, 4 losses at the minute.
Yeah.
And I think it was the opposite way around last year.
Right.
So, like I just said to you, baby steps everything.
Yeah.
I mean, Salford's come onto the scene in the past 4 or 5 years really, when they got to the grand final, and then they've just been in there and thereabouts ever since. So hopefully can.
Yeah, enjoying it though there. Cause
yeah. Honestly, mate, it's
a bit of a change, like
it's
for you.
It's a change, massive change. The facilities are not a patch on Wigan's or back in Australia, but. We don't need it.
Yeah.
It's a good set of lads. It's quite it's chilled. Like nobody likes losing, but if you do lose, it's not the end of the world. And
yeah, I'm just gonna put this mic on the box. But so I do you know what though? I find that I think that's quite a good point though. You know, because wherever I've been at, like when I've been at football clubs and stuff, you go in and you think this is a fucking shithole or something, and then you make it your own shithole.
Yeah.
So you make it with people not wanting to turn up. Do you think that's happened quite a bit where like sides now, instead of like Salford being like, you know, one way you're looking at the thing and maybe saying we'll get a win there on fucking Thursday or Friday night, do you think it's changed a little bit now where people know they're in for they've got to get graft for anything they get?
I don't know, to be honest. I could look at both sides of it. Like they have to come to the AJ Bell and really put a shift in, or they turn up thinking it's a must 2 points. Sam made a comment last week saying it's a definite that we should be beating Salford, and then end up turning them over at weekends. So it's things like that. But honestly, mate, I think teams have to come to the AJ Bell now and just think we need to put a shift in, because it's felt like that this year. Every time they come, like, we've not performed our best at home this year, but other teams haven't made it easy for us. Sort of thing. It's they've had a dig.
Yeah, and where I wanted to start is say this to everyone, like the like very beginning. So like, how did you just get into rugby league? I know it's ingrained in you in Wigan a bit, but what was it for you that just got you in?
It was in primary school. I was five or six, and it was my mate Kane McPherson. I was always a pretty quick runner, so he just said, "Right, let's come rugby training one day." I remember going on a Wednesday night. Kane's grandma took us, and ever since then I really
just stuck at it and went with it.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I bet you wish you'd picked football. That pace. Fucking hell, mate. You could have had loads of money by now.
I'm a donut at football. I can run quick and kick it hard, but everything else, honestly.
Yeah, so, but then you obviously get into the academy at Wigan and stuff like that. How was that for you? Because all of a sudden you're going from like kids rugby and then it's like a proper club, probably one of the best in the country for younger players. How was that for you?
It was tough because from 11 till I was 15, I was at Lee scholarship, and for the last, like, when I was 13, 14, 15, it wasn't really a scholarship, it was just a training thing, and I just worked quite good in a big club sort of thing to go to a scholarship. Anyway, I had a bit of a growth spurt when I was 15, 16, and then I had a pretty good season, and Wigan came knocking. So.
Yeah. Who was it who come knocking? Just
John Jacko.
Right.
Jacko is a well-known scout.
Yeah.
It got me and then my mum and dad to one side, and
must have been a no-brainer though. Or did you have to think?
I was playing well. I was playing well, so it was sort of like, I don't know. That was an achievement, that sort of thing. I got it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then it was, and then going into a few scholarship games, I had a decent, and then I got a contract from there.
Yeah. And then I read a thing, and do you know what? I've never asked you this, considering, but when you got called up to the first team, didn't Shaun ring you? You thought it was a prank or something?
So, Don Crosby and Jack Hughes used to be like, I used to knock about with Don Crosby when I was really young, around Abram and that. And then, so I already knew Don, and he's a right little dickhead sometimes. Yeah, him and Jack Hughes were always pranking young lads, because obviously they'd been dragged up. They used to obviously being dragged up, and then as they was coming through the scholarship and academy, so it was their turn for like get us a bit.
Right.
So anyway, it was a pre-season trip to Miami, and I didn't get picked for it at first. So I was going to either Wales or France for a weekend. I mean,
bit of a difference,
not so bad,
fucking
mate. Hell. So it was like, it must have been about 9 o'clock at night, and I had a phone call and no number saved, sort of thing. So I answered it. He went, hello, Budgie. I tried to do his voice. I need Greg Burke. He could do his voice.
Oh, he can do it.
He can get down to his team. Yeah. He said, "It's Shaun here. Get your passport ready. Like, you coming to Miami tomorrow." So I was like buzzing, and then I thought, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. I know Don Crosby and Jack Hughes were like known for doing stuff like that at the time, so I was like, hang on a minute. I was going, is this really Shaun? This? I questioned him 3 times, and I went, who the fuck? By the end of it, I went, who the fuck is this really? He went, Budgie, just turn up with your case and your passport tomorrow, and you'll see. And honestly, even still, as I was driving onto the training ground, I thought, it would be quite funny if I turned up with all my shit.
What the fuck are you doing here?
You're at bloody Pontins for the rest of the week, you, not bloody Miami. So, yeah,
Did you speak to him about it and say, listen, I thought...
Yeah, I apologised in the end, because I was like, I had to say, sorry if I speak to you like that, don't phone, because I thought it was Dom and Jack. I had to take it piss off.
He'd have loved that though, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he did. I mentioned it to him now and again when I see him, so it was funny.
And what? So you go on that trip then? That must have been fun. I mean, how old was you then? 17, 18?
17, 18, yeah.
And you're going over to Miami with all them lot. Who would that... Like Sam Tompkins would have been there, wouldn't he? Or would he have been away at that point? Would he have been
on
in
that
Oz?
trip... I'm not sure, I can't remember if he went to Oz or was there. No. He went that one.
Yeah.
It was like Pat Richards. I was obviously getting mentored off him, sort of thing. Matt Smith, Blake Green, and that, and yeah, it was.
I don't know how
it's surreal when you're just coming through like that. You're a bit like
you're in that environment.
You don't know how to.
I mean, I think I'd just be like, where's the nearest... If I got to Miami, I'd just be like, where's the nearest bar? Wouldn't you? Like, but trying to keep your head on it and play rugby, like...
Well, I was only at 18 anyway, and it's 21 over there, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
But when we did get a night out, it was all swapping...
passports.
It was all using each other's driver license. I think I had Jack Hughes because I was in my copper top.
Yeah.
George, Len, Logan Tompkins, because they got similar facial features.
No.
Big nose.
Big nose. Jesus. Don't stand side on, George. No, but so what did you do? Did you just train over there? Was it just pre-season over there or something? Or did you have games and that?
It was a pre-season camp.
All right.
I think it was over there for about 10 or 11 days, just before Christmas. So it was like buzzing. Like,
yeah.
It was an unbelievable trip. I mean, we didn't take it for granted because we grafted over there.
Yeah.
And when we did have a bit of time to ourselves, we enjoyed ourselves. Yeah. But yeah, we did graft over there, but I've not had one of them trips probably since Wigan.
Yeah. Some split of the budget, that though, innit? Oh, the first team are going Miami.
Yeah.
Under 19s, see you later, lads. Off to Pontons. Fucking hell. You'd be gutted,
Exactly.
So you get back and... Was that the season that you started? Didn't you have a couple of games that season or something like that?
So after that pre-season, I had a couple of games.
Yeah, but it wasn't till the following season, was it? Where you really
2014 was my breakthrough season. I was hungry for that. Then it was obviously I had 2 games, but year before.
Did you need it?
I needed it badly. 2014 was it's one to remember because it was my proper debut year because I played the most games.
Yeah, and like when you sort of like forged that place into the side, you must have felt like the kingpin round Wigan, going in revs on a Friday and all that.
Well, I remember after my debut, I thought I was the man then.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I pocket dialed Wayne at about 3 in the morning.
Oh my god!
Pissed up. So the day after, I think I was in Ben Austin's bed. I get a missed call off Shaun Wayne, and honestly, imagine that when I'm a bit dusty.
Oh yeah.
My anxiety was going through the roof.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck did I do last night? I must have done something stupid. And I rang him up and I was like, "Hiya, Shaun." He went, "Are you alright?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "You rang me last night." I went, "Oh, did I? I must have ring George." So I'm sorry about that and blah blah blah. But luckily, he didn't care, man. Luckily, we won that weekend because if we'd have lost, and I bellied him at 3 or 4 in the morning, I don't think he'd have come in.
He'd have come on to there. What was he like? Because I was saying to George about like his management style, and obviously I've heard that Sam Tompkins one where he was saying about like the standards and that he had. But what was he like? Was he just very intense? Was he
very intense? He just wanted winners all the time.
Yeah.
Whether it was, especially through pre-season, like every hill sprint, he was at the finish line, stirring you down.
Yeah.
And if you weren't pulling your weight, he'd let you know about it. And as for the wrestle room, luckily we didn't have Wayne. It was the forwards who had Wayne. But he'd still be in and around, and if he'd be ruthless. But I think that's what that group of players what come through, like me, George, Lewis, Sutter, Ryan Hampshire, like it made us like.
You had your own sort of like little core, didn't you? Really, like. I know everyone like bangs on about like the class of '92 and that, but you all come through together, didn't you? Like a group of you, but all like mainstays in the team as well. And I said to George, that must have been like unbelievable doing it, not just like getting in the team, but doing it with your mates as well and like achieving things.
Exactly. Weird because 3 years before we was doing it for Rose Bridge and that.
Yeah.
And 3 years later we're doing it on the main stage. And
Yeah.
I said it's surreal, and it's lucky. It's quite lucky as well to do it with your best mate.
Yeah,
so
you need a little
quite
bit of luck
fortunate,
along the way, but obviously it's hard work and a bit of talent.
Oh yeah. I just mean just lucky as when I was very fortunate.
Yeah, and then your first grand final, a bit of a famous one, wasn't it?
Very famous one.
Yeah.
Benny absolutely.
Yeah, smacked his head off, didn't he?
Drilling him. That must have been pure adrenaline. That rushing.
Oh, mate. So was you were on the bench for that, weren't you?
No.
Was you playing?
I was about 3 yards away from
Oh my god. So you heard the noise?
Yeah, I heard it, definitely. It was just carnage after that. I couldn't believe it in the first minute, but again, I still think we should have won, even if it was a man down. It was the best team for about 60-65 minutes.
So it was like after no time at all, wasn't it?
No.
Like it was the first minute or two?
Minute or two, yeah.
Yeah. I remember I was in the railway watching it, mate. And everybody was literally looking and going, is that just fucking happening? like lads there just poleaxed on the floor.
Crazy.
Yeah, so so then obviously you lose that one, but your successes came further on down the line. You did you score a hat-trick against that Cronulla? Yeah.
Ended up getting a hat-trick against them. That.
How did you not get man of the match there, by the way? George got it, didn't he?
He put him on a plate for me, didn't he?
Oh, right.
Him and Gilly put him on a plate for me, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I can't claim it off him, but yeah, it was good. Good to get an hat-trick in a big game like that. I mean, it was my first. It's my only silverware. I've had league leaders.
Yeah.
And I've had that World Cup challenge, but I'm still chasing that Challenge Cup and grand final win.
Yeah.
I've got a ring from 2018.
That was when you had that knee injury, wasn't it?
That's when I did my knee.
Yeah.
That was a shit time.
I know what you mean though, because I mean it must be like hard to like deal with that sort of mentally, because people will say, "Oh well, you was involved," but you know deep down, don't you? Like, I want to win it and be on there as well, like and playing my part in it.
I think I played 7 or 8 games that year.
Yeah.
For start of the season, and then obviously I did my knee in April, and I was absolutely buzzing for lads like that.
Yeah.
It was against the odds again. I think who do we have playing? Dom. It was good for. I was buzzing for Dom.
Yeah.
Dom Manfredi.
Yeah.
He'd had some.
Yeah, he had some horrific ones, hadn't he?
Yeah, badly. And I was just glad for him to get that ring. I mean, Chris Rodinski came over to me and gave me a ring in the end, but I don't know. I still am a draw now. Like, it's nice and that, but I just don't feel like I quite got it.
Yeah, and like I know it's sort of a shit one to talk about, but I think it's like quite important, because whether you're a footballer or a rugby player or whatever sport, even when he had Jim Payne, the golfer, on, and like you could see like deep down it hurt him that, like, I think by the time he was 23 he'd won the Italian Open. He'd won highest amateur, won the silver medal at the Open, and then all of a sudden he gets like a spinal fusion. He had to have his spine fused, and you could see, like, when I was asking him, I said, like, did it affect you mentally? And he was like, now I look back now, he said probably, like, but how have they affected you, like injuries? I mean, you know, when you've got them like dark moments when you're training on your own and shit like that must have been like horrific. Like,
yeah, that was my. I mean, I had a few knee surgeries before that injury, but I'd never done a serious one like that, and I didn't handle it well, to be honest. Looking back,
no,
I was on piss that much.
Yeah,
that injury,
and I was.
And he was with me for most of it. But couldn't help it, though, could we?
I'm getting the blame here.
It was a good summer. World Cup was on.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't going to be sat at home on my own.
No.
Because that would have been depressing. So, but looking back, I probably should have sat at home and toughed it out and been depressed on my own, because I didn't help myself that year whatsoever. I was, even when I wasn't with you, I was still on the pitch somewhere else. So I really didn't look after myself that well that year.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, I remember at the end of the year, I was actually ill for the grand final.
Yeah.
I think I had I had glandular fever, and I just went.
Yeah, wipes you
I
out, doesn't it?
went on piss. It's basically just been going on piss for
Yeah.
all year and just not looking after myself. So yeah, looking back, I should have definitely looked after myself better. And I've had pretty serious injuries in the past few years, and I've found ways to look after myself a lot better.
Yeah.
Rather than going on the piss. So.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it, when you're a young age and all your mates are out, and then you just want to join it. You've got that free time. It's like fucking do it. Like, but I remember in Ormskirk one night, and these coppers were looking at. I went, "Them looking at," and they come over and went, "You Joe Burgess?" Like that, 2 bobbies in Ormskirk. Yeah,
that threw me that one.
Yeah, but no, I think like with injuries and stuff like that. I mean, the more that you speak to people about it, they often come back and say the same thing, that they look for other distractions, like whether it's going out on a piss or whatever it is. And it's such a tough, like, isolating period, isn't it, when you're more or less on your own, you know, especially for you, because you're probably in the gym on your own doing your rehab or whatever. And I don't think people understand it sometimes, but yeah, we'll get that one out of the way. But when did, you know, after, like, in your first, you had your first spell at Wigan, and then interest from, like, Australia comes about. When did you first know, like, when did that first interest start coming about? Can you remember it?
It was after I think the interest was after my first season, 2014.
Yeah.
Bit of interest then. And then halfway into 2015, they wanted to sign me up. And, Sydney Roosters come to me, and I was just, imagine that. One year I was like just buzzing, I was doing well for Wigan, and then Sydney Roosters are approaching. Yeah. And I'm like, fucking hell.
What, did you know, like, I'm going to go here?
At first I was like, well, I still live with my mum and dad at that point. Never had my ass wiped all the time, obviously. So it was a part of me what was a bit like, hang on a minute, do I know what I'm doing here, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Other side of me was like, fuck it, I've been to Australia twice before then, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it over there, and that's what saw me. It was just being near the beach.
I think it's a bit different though, isn't it? Like when you think of like the lads when they were going Canberra and that. I mean, no offence to Canberra, like, but it's not Sydney, is it?
No, it's not Sydney, not whatsoever. I mean, I remember, I think the first few days I was there, moved to a place called Maroubra, which is a beach on the east coast, and then after that, I think I was roomed with Connor Watson for the first 3 months. I was 100 yards off Coogee Beach.
Okay.
I mean,
that would took you about 2.5 seconds. That,
I'd gone from Abram, Flatbridge, all them places to Coogee Beach. I was like, okay, now I'm living the dream.
What was the lifestyle like?
Through pre-season, it was basically train, eat, go for a swim, come back, eat, sleep, and then obviously I remember, I mean, we had a few piss-ups there, and the Australia day, that was one of the biggest shocks to me about the NRL, how serious something happened with Mitchell Pearce. He humped a dog. It wasn't, I mean, honestly, looking at it, I thought it was very petty.
My God. I can't be throwing that one in there, petty. Jesus.
Honestly, he ended up getting banned for about...
He humped a dog?
He didn't, he was clothed.
Right.
You know, like, he got behind a dog and pretended to hump it.
Right, okay.
So he didn't actually...
What, and that was like massive over there
honestly, then? Honestly, mate, I couldn't believe it. Like, I remember being... It was after Australia Day, so they went back to a party or something, and it was all joking about it in the group. 12 hours later, it was all over the news. I was
no
like,
way.
Fucking hell. I was like, was it really that bad? Like, it was over here. Fucking hell. It wouldn't even get...
fish and chip paper, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Over there was cameras and that.
Fucking hell, I hope they never go up King Street. Imagine that. Jesus, you see a lot worse.
I've been up in some dogs up there.
No, definitely some dogs, Jesus. But, so, like, it is, though, and it's like the Premier League to them, isn't it? It's...
Exactly that.
For them,
it's... the rules is
it's massive,
big time,
isn't it?
Yeah.
But, so when you're over there and everything, you play that first season, And then all of a sudden you end up having like a mid-season loan, don't you?
Yeah.
Why did it not? Did you have any conversation with the manager or anything? What?
Well, I started off the season and I didn't have like the worst game. I scored 2 tries in my debut, and I had an okay game. It was like a big thing for me, and a first NRL game. So I was pretty nervous. So I come off that pitch thinking I did okay. Anyway, after that game, I didn't play for the next 7 or 8 weeks. Daniel Tupou was there in front of me, and because I'd played for England the past 2 years, I thought I was going to waltz into the team and stay in the team. Yeah. Well, I had a big shock. Played the first game. I didn't play for the next 8 weeks. I was playing for the reserves, which is called Wanes. There was a cracking set of lads, but it was an hour and 3/4 up the course every week, and that's not what I went for. So I remember halfway through the season, it was Wigan who approached me first.
Right.
Said, we want you back for the year after, sort of thing. So I was like, oh yeah, At first I was a bit like, do I just tough it out or what? But I didn't want to. I was going up nearly 2 hours up the coast every week.
Yeah.
And I didn't go over there for that. So I was like, get me home and get me enjoying playing rugby again. So I signed back at Wigan for the year after, and then 3 days later, South's come in for me. They said, we need a winger for the rest of the year. And then, so I was like, yeah, buzzing. I played most of the rest of the season. I think I played about, it was 9 games in the end for South.
Yeah.
And even between then, I had a reserve game. And come back in the team because I played well for the reserves. And yeah, it was good Mike Maguire to me because he had been at Wigan. I think he coached me once. I think I was
when you were at Wigan.
When I was at Wigan, but I was only like little, what do you call him, protein shake maker, coming in doing that and just holding pad and being a pad holder basically. But it still knew me from then, so he treated me well, and I loved it when I played. I was playing every week, and honestly, if South would have come in a week earlier and they wanted
before
to
you'd signed back,
I probably stayed.
Yeah. Must have been hard. Did you never get like a sort of a discussion with the manager there, you know, and
Roosters?
Yeah, and say like, you know, what's happening here?
It was good to me at first. It was Trent Robinson. He was good to me. He picked me up from the airport and that, and spoke to me a lot, and then
he wanted to drop you back off at the airport.
yeah, exactly. Well, I might not even got that at the end. Yeah. I think he wanted me to walk it back to the airport. But yeah, he didn't really say anything to me, and even when I left and that, he just didn't say anything, which was a bit gutting me, because I wasn't playing shit on purpose, sort of thing. But I've spoke to him since, like he's been back over here, and I've seen him since. So nothing personal.
When you come back, I mean, that must have been fucking hell. Imagine turning back up at Manchester after all that sun and everything. I think I'd have just sat it out, mate, and said, if you don't want to pick me, fuck it. I'll just hang around.
Well, to be fair, that's why I'd have stayed at South, because their reserve team was 15 minutes away.
Right, yeah.
And I played for them, and I was like, do you know what? I can deal with this. Yeah.
Just see that paycheck hit me account every month. I'll play for whoever you want. But so when you do come back, and then you're straight back in at Wigan, how was that for you coming back? Was it like, did you think this is far better, or was there still a little bit in the back of your mind thinking I'd sooner be back there?
Yeah, a bit of both, to be honest. I come back to my family basically, not see him in a year, and that was nice. That was good. That was also one of the reasons why I signed back as well, because I promised them and I said, I'm coming back home, sort of thing. So they was boom. So I couldn't have stayed at South.
Yeah. What I sort of think, I don't know what your take on it is, because obviously I follow you like in rugby league, but I'm not a rugby league fan, as you know. But the sort of thing that I get from it is like, especially with these NRL clubs, I think there's like a perception, I might be totally wrong here, I think there's a perception where they just see the English player as like second rate, this, that and the other. I mean, go back to the bit on George, where like he was just getting pelters of abuse, basically.
Crazy, wasn't it?
And it's like, you know, it's a human being at the end of the day who's, forget about the player, he's up sticked, moved across the country, you know, even the situation, I might be talking out of turn here, but even the situation with Gilly at the minute.
Yeah, exactly right.
You know, where, you know, people forget that, you know, people have up sticked their whole life. It's not round the corner, it's like the other side of the globe to go over there and play. And I do sometimes think that maybe they're not giving a fair crack of the whip, really.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Like when I was at Roosters, I was always along the left wing and I kept being played on the right. So
Yeah.
that wasn't helping me. But yeah, like you said, once you're not performing well, you don't really get another look in.
Yeah.
And you're right with Gilly, to be honest. He's not really had another look in. I feel sorry for him because he said he's doing his bit for reserve team and that, and he's playing well. So
Yeah.
you'd expect him like the next line in, but they keep putting other players in front of him.
You'd like to think that there'd be some suitors out there, wouldn't you? In Super League, it will definitely be wanting Gilly.
Definitely.
But obviously, like going back to you, so you come back to Wigan. We've talked about the knee injury and stuff, but relatively, it's like your hometown and everything. So when the sort of time comes where you're thinking, you know, this is coming to an end, you were offered another deal, wasn't you, at Wigan to stay? What am I right in saying that?
No, I never even got an offer. Before going from Wigan to Salford, I just didn't want me anymore. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I got a letter through the door saying.
You're joking? No. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You letter through. Like, just...
You get a word. You get a word off your agent, and then you get a letter through the door saying we don't really. You can look for other clubs, basically.
So there wasn't anyone who like pulled you and said, "Listen, budge, you surplus to requirements." It was like a.
It was me. It was from my agent first.
Fucking hell, it's poor, isn't it?
No. But.
So who's the manager when you left? Was it Adrian Lamb or was it?
Yeah, he was the coach then, and
yeah,
he didn't know anything about it.
Right.
That's what he said to me anyway.
So like the decisions are made like sort of above, either like the chief exec or something like.
It'd been Leno. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
He's the boss, isn't it? He's paying wages, and if you don't think I'm up to it, I'm not up to it. But everything happens for a reason, and now that past few years at Salford, I feel like I'm getting back to myself.
Was it an easy decision to make that? You know, when like Salford say.
Yeah, because they're the only ones.
The only offer. It's only 20 minutes down the road. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, but I do think that's probably like a. You know what baffles me, and I've mentioned it before on here, is like you think about how much football clubs, rugby league clubs, and that when it suits, they'll start banging on about mental health, and it fucking pisses me off when you think to yourself, well, hang on a minute. This has been my job for like years and years. I've got to find another club. And then you get a letter through the door. That must have been like, that'd have sent my head west, that. Big time.
I mean, I didn't really, I didn't perform like it. I wasn't playing well. So I was like, maybe I deserve it. Bit of a kick up the arse sort of thing. It was disappointing. It did it a bit because, like I said, I've been there from scholarship for academy and been to Australia and come back to them, and it wasn't the nicest thing, but I'm not really a worrier or I'm quite a laid back person, so I thought, right, I'm gonna have to crack on and get my and
back yourself like a bit, and then when you signed for Salford, was there anything that sort of thought this will work for me? Was there any conversation where they said, listen, you're gonna be in the team, you're gonna play, you know, was it just like you need to come in and get your head down and see where it goes?
Well,
because I thought when you signed, I thought, fucking hell, it's a top signing for them, like, you know, because they were sort of like you're saying, they weren't sort of in the higher echelons, but now they're like an established Super League side, aren't they?
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, that first year wasn't the best. We finished second from bottom, so that was a different experience for me, like looking at other teams in the relegation battle sort of thing. So I've never been in that situation before. But the past 2 years, like I said, we're a serious contender now.
Yeah. And with all this now at Salford, as you're at the age that you're at, the England stuff coming up at the minute, do you still have aspirations to play for England?
Definitely. I'm not. When was it? 2015 when I last played for England. So I wouldn't mind getting in the squad again, to be honest, but because it also reflects how you've done in the season. Like last year, I thought I had a pretty decent season.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe I got a chance for getting in, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't, so crack on and I'm not.
Do you think Waney might be holding these prank calls against you?
It could be.
8 years
it
on.
Could be. I remember there's a few things what I did to Waney once. I remember on the first Mad Monday. I was obviously
just after expert. Someone asked that the other day. Mad Monday's like your end of season.
End of season do.
But it could be on any day, couldn't it? But they call it Mad Monday, don't they?
Well, you just drink till Monday comes around, basically.
Yeah.
And we was in. What's it called? We was in a Labour club basically, in a bowling, but on like where Bowling Green is in there, and I was absolutely pasted. I already turned up late, so you have to do a pint of wine.
Oh my god!
On entrance, so straight from the off, I was already just leathered basically. And I remember he sat at the bar, and I don't know if I can't remember who was next to me, but he was like when he was like coughing like real bad, and I was like, I don't know where this has come from, sort of thing. I went, you know what that's from, don't you? He went, what bunch? I went, sucking too much dick.
Oh my god. No wonder he's not picking you for England.
Honestly,
why did it? What? Because you just smoked?
Don't know. I was steaming. I don't know. I was 18 as well. 18 turning 19, and I come out with shit like that. Anyway, I remember that one, Burgess. So now that I put two and two together, maybe this is what it is. Maybe I need to apologise for that properly.
Right, hang on. So you've told him to fuck off once he's rang you and told you go and thingy. You pocket dialed him at 3 a.m. when you're steaming, and then when he's got a fucking tickle in his throat, you said too much fucking dick.
And another one was it was me and Lewis. I think we was both injured at the time, and there was just the phone left on the side. So obviously it was funny back then when it sliding it up and taking a load of pictures.
Oh yeah.
Obviously it was sticking fingers up and that, and we put it back. Didn't have a clue whose it was. Anyway, you never guess who Bob's head went gone. It's weird. He says, "You've not seen a phone, have you?" Me and Lewis just went,
oh my god.
Fucking hell. So then we were shitting ourselves, like, fucking hell, what have we done there? Like, and then it was Lewis who had it on him, and he didn't say, yeah, I've got it on me, sort of thing. He yelled it for a second, was like, we need somebody to get onto this phone and delete it. Well, it had a passcode on, so we couldn't go on it or anything. So anyway, we both walked in sheepishly and listened. We didn't know it was your phone, but we've been taking a lot of pictures with fingers up. You might have to delete them. We went, oh, right, okay.
Fucking hell.
Like, fucking hell.
You've got away with one there.
Not
You've
so
got away
bad.
with 4, haven't you?
Not so bad, but again, another one we can laugh about.
Oh
right?
my god. What's the... Because obviously, like we're on about, like with Lewis and George and stuff like that, what's the maddest story that you've had with all them? Like... There's got to be a few, to be fair, aren't there?
As in, what mad story? As in, like...
Well, something like that, along the lines of that.
Uh,
I can imagine Lewis to have a few dodgy stories, to be
he'd
fair.
have a few stories, definitely.
His mind's gone blank now after the Shaun main one.
I'm just thinking what I can and can't say.
Yeah, say what you want. Say what you want. You won't get in trouble on here, bud. There's one definitely lurking in there that he's dying to get out.
Honestly, I can't think. My mind's gone blank.
You know, alright, we can always speed it up a bit. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you one thing that I want to ask. So, and I think this one's quite important, actually. So, at your age now, as everybody knows, like, you've not got... It's not like football where, like, you play your football career. You could play till you were 28 if you're a half-decent Premier League footballer and live off the fat of it for the rest of your life. But have you, like, at your age now, and I'm not saying, you know, you're 28 now, aren't you, Budge?
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully you've still got, like, a few years ahead of you. But is there anything you've, like, set up to go into after rugby, or is there anything you'd like to go into after rugby, or
I've been putting it off for years now for doing stuff like that, but the contract that I just signed for Salford for the next to end of 2025. There's a course, like a uni course in that. So
right.
I'm 100% doing it because it's in my contract this time.
Yeah.
So I'll probably start that in September. Probably I'm going to look into a business course.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Like I said, hopefully I've got 28 now, so
There's only one winner in this rugby league.
Yeah, 32, 33, and I'll be happy.
Mm.
But I don't want to play any longer than after.
No.
It kills your body. It absolutely kills your body.
Is it hard with like the next few days after you've played and that?
Yeah.
How do you feel after that? You just fucked.
You just feel fucked and you just can't be arsed doing anything really.
Yeah.
It's alright now. I mean, the first few months though.
Yeah.
And it's freezing outside. You can't even go golf and get moving.
Yeah.
You just.
Saying about it, I remember when I was at Skem, we went and we played AFC Fylde in a FA Cup match, and it had to be played, but our pitch was fucked, and their pitch was fucked, and we played it at Salford's ground. And I always remember the pitch being like, and it wasn't, I can't remember what time of the year it was, but it was like fucking concrete, that
was
pitch.
It?
Yeah.
Right.
And I always wondered afterwards, like, you know, how, if it was like that for the rugby or whatever, but it must have been like playing on concrete. You know,
to be fair, it's a good pitch at Salford.
Yeah.
Like the past few years, it's been bob on in summer and that. There's a few out there, like Wakefields. If you play Wakefield in August, I mean they've just had it redone actually, so I don't know what it'll be like this year. But past few years, that is like a car park.
Oh.
It may as well be frozen.
Especially when you've got to jump across the line.
Yeah,
and
it's
all
like
that.
shit like that.
Oh, so that'd be like that. Just place that down there. Yeah, but no, I think that's a good thing that for the club to like put in your contract. So will they allow you the time then?
Oh, that'll be after training. I'll be doing that on the days off and that. Which I don't mind because I'm not got no kid or missus, so I've got plenty of time on my hands.
Yeah. You'll be floating around all them uni beds.
No, I won't.
They'll be like that. They're like, get rid of it, this old fella here.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he's going uni.
Oh yeah, but I'm looking forward to doing something different like that.
Yeah.
And then box that off, and then.
What would you do, like go into property or something like that, or
I
maybe?
want to sell up, move to Tenerife, and open my own coffee shop in Tenerife or something.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
That'd be the dream.
That'd be perfect.
That'd be the dream. That I was in Spain last week, and we go to this place for a brekkie every morning when we're there. As you can tell, size of me. But it's called Scoffers, right? It's been there years, and it's owned by a fella. His dad used to be the Arsenal physio or something like that, and he was like, "What's there not to love about this?" He said, "Like, I literally make full English breakfasts like 9 to 12 every day." He said, and then like the rest of the days, my own. He's like got a great like place on the front and everything.
That's living the dream.
He's just thinking that he's living the dream. People will say like, "Oh well, you know, I want to run a multi-million-pound business or whatever," but I think that's the dream.
Yeah.
You know,
definitely.
and just being able to sort of chill out. So I don't think anyone could knock you for wanting to do that. Imagine that Budge's coffee shop on the beach. Be all right, wouldn't it? Yeah. What are you doing this week? Just going over for a coffee to see Budge?
I went to Tenerife on my own. In my time off. Went for about 5 days. I loved it. I was just mooching up and down the beach.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I almost like I had an epiphany sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I want to do. So I'm going to box the next few years after, as well as I can with rugby, get as much money I can out of it, and just fuck off over there. That's the dream.
That would be a great lifestyle, to be fair. But which part did you go? Play the Las Americas?
Yeah.
Great, innit?
It's great, honestly.
It's got a bit of everything,
I didn't even play golf over there.
Didn't you?
No, I didn't even. But next time, that's one of the things I'm definitely doing.
I was going to say, like, because I know, obviously, that you're massively into your golf as well.
Yeah.
So I had a message this morning, I won't say who it was off, and they said, make sure you remind him he's getting fucking paddled on Tuesday in the South Lancs League. So have you got a match of you in the South Lancs League?
Yeah, was that vegan or
was
it?
Yeah.
I started that last year. I went into started playing for a golf team, and it's quite fun. It brings you out your competitive side, and it helped my golf side of it because you start playing a lot safer and thinking about your shots a lot more. And when I was playing at a weekend, it was. I was helping.
So how long have you been a member? You've been at Inley for ages, haven't you?
I've been there about 12 years now.
Have you?
11, 12 years. Yeah.
Never gonna come too early then, no.
No, no. I'm not going there. Too many bad heads there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I would end
yeah.
up like a piss head.
Yeah, you would, yeah, hanging around that moat. But so would you, that? I mean, that'd be an unbelievable lifestyle if you got the coffee shop, golf over there in the afternoons. You just cracked it then, haven't you?
That is the dream. Honestly.
But so what's the aspirations for the next few years? Because obviously you said about silverware and stuff like that. Can Salford compete for the big ones?
Definitely.
Yeah.
The only thing that hinders us a bit is the size of our squad.
Right.
We've not got the biggest squads, but if we can all stay fit and healthy, the rest of the year, like there's a real good bond between these lads, and we went to Ince of a week, and
for the national.
Yeah, the team do, and just little things like that just it brings you together like a bit close, and you can just tell and like we've not played our best. We are waiting for it to dry up because that's when we can start turning it on. But it's just like the last 10-15 minutes when they're on top of us, sort of thing. I don't know. It just feels like we're proper working for each other, and that's what you want, isn't it?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I was obviously manager wise, where you've had like Shaun, Wayne, and then it's different manager when you're going over to Australia and everything. But how's it been with? It been at Salford different to Wigan in terms of like we're on about like the standards of Wayne and that. How different is it at Salford, or is it similar? Or
Rolls is definitely a lot more laid back,
right?
Than
Yeah.
Wayne. But you can lose his shit.
Yeah.
I've seen him lose his shit, and he's come close to it. And but even still, like as long as you're trying hard, that's all he bothered. That's all he bothered. If you're having a dig, that's what he wants.
Yeah, and like one thing I want to ask is, you've got like probably like you're saying, hopefully 4 or 5 great years ahead of you, and stuff like that. But how's Super League changed or is changing since when you first come through? I mean, the money's still not outstanding, is it? But what about the profile of Super League these days? What's your opinion on that?
It's not the best, to be honest. No, it's. I remember I keep watching like retro games, and they was using like just little things like they were using better cameras then. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're using better cameras then than they are now. Like when it goes to the big screen, that should be a massive thing, like a real like an atmosphere builder, because when everyone's there watching at the screen, you can feel the tension, whether it's got to be a try or not, but you can't even see it half the time. It's blurry, and it's just, and then like off the pitch, I'm sure it could be sold a lot better. So.
Well, I honestly think though, Sky have had it for like a number of years, haven't they? But I sometimes think, I know they're massively into the football, but it's like as though it's they do the coverage sort of half-hearted, and I honestly think if rugby league was marketed properly, like advertised properly and stuff like that, I think they could tap into something, mate.
Yeah, well, look at Channel 4 now. They've had a few games, and theirs is very good coverage. I'm surprised they've not took more games on, because what's even on Channel 4 on a Friday night?
Home and away. Like Budge that, home and away. Australia in Wigan.
Nobody's watching that.
Yeah, no,
come on.
It's crap. Yeah, I mean, they've won, right? And this is my opinion, not Budge's, but there's a woman presenter. She does the channel. I think it's on Channel 4. She does the championship. Wow, is all I'm going to say. Absolute world class. Get her on the top one. Never mind the championship. Get her on the Super League, because she is in a different league. Outstanding, she is.
What, is she that good at presenting?
Yeah, as what?
Is she good at presenting, yeah?
I don't know, I've not got that far up. It's like that, yeah. So, I don't want to say her name. I might get sued for some of the stuff I'm saying here. But I think her name's Emma, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, very good anyway. Yeah, but so I want to just ask you some more like quick fire ones. So, who's the best 3 players that you've played with?
Oof.
I know it's tough that.
Again, because I had a few years of being a bit of a club slut. and changing over. I went from like playing with Mitch Pearce at Sydney Roosters. Well, I went from like Shaun to like people like Mitch Pearce and Jake Friend at Roosters, Sean Kennedy-Dowell, and I went over to Souths and ended up having a game with Greg Inglis, Sam Burgess, and then I've come back to Wigan, so fucking hell.
It's tough, that, isn't it? It's tough to name three, that, when you've had that sort of NRL experience as well.
I'd probably say it probably would be them three.
Yeah.
It'd have to be Sam, Greg Inglis, and Sean O'Loughlin.
You know what? I asked George, and he had Shaun O'Loughlin in straight away. How was he as like a captain? Like, unreal.
Yeah, great bloke as well.
But he's just like a manager on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. He is. He's not just that. Like he doesn't lose his cool. He doesn't lose his cool. He just says what needs to be said and crack on with it. But it's just a massive respect for how long he did it.
Yeah.
I don't know how he did it.
Because he's gone through like different generations of the game, really. Yeah. I mean, I was looking when I was doing a bit of the research for Scully's podcast, and I'm looking at that scrap with Scully and Andy Farrell.
Oh yeah.
And Shaun O'Loughlin's like in there as
well.
Yeah, trying to break it all up. Like,
getting ragged about.
And I thought, bloody hell, you don't act. So I think that was about. I might be wrong. I think it was about 2003.
Yeah. I think I went that game as well.
Did you? Yeah. But I'm thinking to myself, like, he's actually crossed over so many sort of generations and stuff like that. I remember going picking up one day from his, and I think you'd played the night before. You just come riding past on his push bike.
Who did?
Shaun O'Loughlin. I think he had his kids with him. Yeah, they were cycling behind, like, thinking like, Jesus Christ, like, he's just been on the telly yesterday, smashing through people, and just an ordinary just like an ordinary bloke, you know. So that's your three, right? Best manager. If you want this fucking England place, mate.
I probably would have to. I'll have to say Wayne.
Yeah.
Defo.
Yeah.
He handed me my first professional debut, and like he taught me a lot of things. Like when you come through the academy, or what it used to be like, you was like making shakes or cleaning boots. Remember when we got stitched up with shifting snow off the pitch? I mean, it was me, George, Lewis, Sutty was there, and Ryan Hampshire.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was like, it must have been like 7-8 inches of snow.
Yeah.
By the end of the day, there was a corner of what we did, and I remember Ryan Hampshire. I remember Groundsman just walking down, because obviously we're doing his job here.
Yeah.
Walking down with a brew. And Ryan Hampshire goes, because he was a gobby little thing, he goes, "Oi, Dave, you got fucking do out or what?" I always mention it when I see him. But yeah, and then the day after when we all shifted that corner, it just put another 6 inches down, so it was like, fuck you, what a stitch up. But stuff like that. I remember when...
they're like lessons though, them as well, aren't they? Like, you probably wanted to see if he's had it in you know what I mean, to like just get on with the job.
Yeah, well, when I got an injury at the start of the season, and then when I come back into training, I had a stinker. Like, I dropped it 3 times. I think I did 2 forward passes. Like, I've never played rugby before. And Wayne had me in his office after it, and he said, "You're not with first team this week. You're with groundsman, so you're up at 5 in the morning, and then you're training with academy after." I was like, oh Christ! But
just like lessons, aren't
stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. That's what all he was. Just constantly giving us lessons.
Yeah. So, to be honest, I wasn't surprised that you said John Wayne. But what's like, if you could say like one bugbear in being a rugby league player, or whether it be with Super League or whatever, what's one thing that like pisses you off and you think needs changing?
Coverage.
Yeah,
definitely. I just think that, like, the cameras do me in when I'm watching it. Like, when I watch other sport, it's probably because I'm always watching football. So obviously the cameras are just shit out there, and they're from every angle. Referees can do me in sometimes.
Do they?
Yeah, when it's on telly though, To be fair, actually, to be fair to them, the past few weeks when I've watched it, they've been good. But in recent years,
it's other playing up to it, or
no, they speak to you like you're a school kid sort of thing.
Right,
it's like, hang on a minute, I'm not speaking to you like this. Doesn't mean you can speak to me like this. But to be fair, this year they've actually been good with it because it slowed the play up as well, and that's the massive difference.
Do you think they've gone a bit too over officious?
Yeah, like a bit of a power trip basically. They can make us look like a prick in the pit sort of thing on telly.
Out on the telly,
that's what I mean.
If you say it back though, it can be heard, can't it?
Well, if you say it back, you give 10 metres, 10 metres away. And
footballers wouldn't last 2 minutes, would they?
No chance. When you're lip reading football, it's mad about the game. I'm like scratching me like thinking, how are they getting away with this? You can say all sorts, can't you? You've had a few dues with referees then.
Bad ones. I had one once. When was it? We played Hyde when I was at Warrington about 2 seasons ago, and this ref was fucking. He gave them a penalty and they missed it. He said someone encroached, and he gave it again. So they score the second one. So it was the linesman that gave it, and anybody that knows me know I always used to say this line like to the linesman. I go, you know what I'm like, gobby fucking. I used to say, "Hey liner," like that, and I'd do it like in front of a crowd, so they all heard it and try and embarrass him. I used to say, "You'll never get the fucking big job in the middle if you keep getting them shitty ones wrong," like that. Next minute, he's just gone wallop, like waving the flag, got the referee over. He said, like, "You've been abusive to the referee, to the linesman, and if you're abusive to me," he said, "I'll just send you off." He walked off and went, "Well, fuck off then," like that, and he just turned around and went off, But I didn't realise the changing rooms. I forgot all about it. The changing rooms were the other side of the pitch, so you had to walk across the pitch to the dugouts. So I had to walk all the way around the pitch, and you can imagine the shit that you get. And I think I got your little fat foot, Fat Alan Carr, that the one who used to come out. No, I understand what you're saying there. There's nothing worse than getting like spoken down to, is the Barderman.
No.
It is a bit of a nightmare. So that's the two then, coverage and officials. And so, what's the plans for this season then? What have you set yourself any targets?
Well, before last week it was score 1 try because I'd not scored all season yet, so I've got that out of the way.
150 Super League games as well. I've seen that. Yeah. Was that last week?
That was last week. Yeah, I didn't even know anything about it, so that's a pretty proud moment, really.
Yeah.
I've touched on some injuries I've had, and it's almost took me a while to get there, but it's a big achievement, and I owe a lot to especially to my family in the older days, younger days, when there was taking me to Rose Bridge every week, and it's them who's carrying on going.
I remember when I've spoken to like George and stuff like that about it, and they've all touched on like the family just back them. Even Scully said like his mum and dad had just run him everywhere, and he said, you can't be any more thankful to sort of them. But it's I think you're looking at it now like Super League. I honestly think what Joe said today, like about the coverage and that, I agree with that, because I for somebody that doesn't, I'm not a particular fan of Super League, but when it's on a Thursday and Friday on Sky, a big game, it's like
it's a decent watch, isn't it?
I went to Potter's on Good Friday to watch Wigan and Saints with a gang of us, and it was fucking bouncing. Like literally, you couldn't get another. And you know how big Potter's is; it's a big place, isn't it?
Yeah.
You couldn't get another person in. So I mean, you can't say that the market's not there, like for people to watch it and stuff. But do you think it's become like a northern sport?
Yeah, definitely.
And do you think that's maybe one of the reasons why?
Possibly, yeah. I just think that there was talks of like Eddie Hearn once taking over. Why not? Look what he's done with boxing. And
I think sometimes it just needs like an injection of like fresh energy. I mean, even like with this live thing, I mean, I'm not for it in that, but you look at it, it's just got like a party vibe to it.
Yeah.
And that's just going to grow now.
Did you see the one in Adelaide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, imagine that at Wigan. So I got told off by an old codger the other day for not using a winter mat.
Oh, don't piss
and you're
like,
just piss off, yeah. You know, when you're thinking like fresh energy in sport's the best thing that can happen to it, and hopefully that'll happen with Super League. He'd like to think so anyway. But we won't take any more of Budge's time. Been an absolute pleasure having you on, mate. Thanks for coming down, and hopefully the next time that I go for a pint with him, I won't be chucking up over somebody. So,
hopefully.
Best of luck for the season, mate.
Nice
Great to see you.
And you.
Thanks, mate.